Peace and positive. This is Amelia A. Attal, aka Emily MC, author of Y'all Not Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind. And today's topic is on movement, mind-body connection, physical healing, and whether exercise matters for mental health and wellness. Now, before we get into some clips from the global community, we're looking at the connection between physical health and mental health, from the daily demand on our bodies and the impact of simple motions to the years of attention or neglect, awareness or ignorance of what's truly right for our wellness. While the so-called mind-body connection is something that's been explored in American and Eurocentric Western fitness industries in recent decades, it's something that indigenous and diasporic people have been keyed into for centuries, if not thousands of years. According to the Natural History Museum in London, England, human beings have been on this planet Earth for approximately 300,000 years. Now, while early humans may not have been fighting machine-powered wars or doing 8+ hours a day at a job or experiencing an excessive amount of digital scrolling, there was undoubtedly still a great physical demand on the human body, even back then. Now, I know some may think this topic is basic, remedial, or matters less. Actually, that this entire series matters less because some people believe that mental health is not a real thing, and that being all in our heads about being all in our heads is itself the problem. That original man did not have mental health programming, and we've become too nuanced and sophisticated about our ability to live. Yet, as we've seen with so many episodes since even day one on The Power of Music, to again being post-COVID-19 pandemic where depression and anxiety have worsened across every demographic of humans on Earth by at least 25%, according to the World Health Organization. And as mentioned in Day 24's episode about food and mental health, so many preventable deaths, the normalizing of disease, and decades of new research after the lessons of the 20th century and early 21st. Human life and society have evolved. Full stop. And while it may not seem like it sometimes, so have our brains, and thus, so have our needs for survival. HBO's groundbreaking series Sex and the City said it best in the Season 2 Episode 13 episode titled Games People Play, when Carrie was discussing not needing therapy, saying, quote, "Therapy is just so self-indulgent. Ancient man didn't need shrinks to survive." To which the character of Miranda Hobbs responded with the mic drop, saying, quote, "Ancient man only lived till 30, end quote. So let's talk about movement. And I say movement because it's more than just exercise. It's that mind-body connection I mentioned just a bit ago. It's being in communication with your cells, muscles, joints, bones, and organs. It's listening to them and them listening to you. It's, as I mentioned in my book, that, quote, learning the body as it is, to cooperate with it and master its command, not just to release tension and make movement possible, but to open your heart and believe in what you're doing for yourself, end quote. Foundational movement that's intentional, holistic, and or consistent is a major key to success in anything, even if that just means 5 minutes a day of bodyweight only standing or seated stretches. There's also the movement we do by ourselves and the very different energy of aligned and intentional movement with a group. And not just how we're doing these deliberate sessions of exercise or motions, but also when, as in what times of day or in what order of events. Are we planning for timed blocks of movement in our wake-up routines? Do we have a wake-up routine? Bedtime, during the week? And or are we taking impromptu movement breaks as we need throughout the day? Are we investing in ourselves intentional moments away from seats, desks, machines, phones, and demands, also by deep breathing, easing the nervous system, and freeing the body parts from constriction and stress? I'd mentioned about indigenous and diasporic peoples, and I want to bring that up again when it comes to exploring systems of the body and deeper understandings of our human experience. I remember meeting one of my good friends in a dance class, Mayu Shirai from Japan, and as we got closer, she educated me on things that were very normal to her culture but very new to me, including foods that were good to, quote, smooth out the blood, which I was like, smooth blood? The blood has textures? As well as mindful preparation of food and the concept of fascia, the one muscle that runs throughout the entire body. The exposure to the idea of fascia made a notable difference on my quality of life. But being that we were both dancers, also in dance conditioning and dance education, we also shared a mutual understanding and general quality of life that's very dance coded, if you can imagine. Even as I explored other sports and public performance, dance has continued to inform everything about my awareness of spinal health, the neck, posture, the core, joint mobility, and more. We talked a lot about wishing this kind of knowledge was more common in all of society, and at one point, Mayu got certified in kinesthesia and went on a quest to bring this kind of education to regular working people in Japan. I'm also reminded of all my years doing African dance classes and the general African and Black diasporic regard for the hips and the pelvis. Not just an appreciation of this, especially in women, but of the power, life, and energy in the hips and pelvis. There are several YouTubers and fitness experts who return to or focus on the hips as a central wellness concept. And I have to point out that this is a cultural understanding from ways back in the Black and indigenous lineage. To that point, dancers and all athletes are no stranger to mind-body connection work. However, humans overall have seemed to evolve in how we train the body for certain terrain. From those who work out just to stay healthy while on their feet all day at service jobs or to maintain while raising children, to athletes like amateur wrestlers and pro wrestlers who train to use simultaneous energy systems in stressful performances. There's also those who get into fatigue training for long matches or Olympic trials. Fatigue training is more about training the mind to withstand and make good decisions under tension than it is about physical fitness or vanity. Now, according to helpguide.org, an independent nonprofit that runs one of the world's leading mental health websites, and their 2026 article titled The Mental Health Benefits of Exercise, quote, exercise and movement act as frontline therapies for mental health, often performing as effectively as traditional antidepressants or psychotherapies. The benefits are driven by rapid changes to brain chemistry and long-term structural adaptations, end quote. And according to a 2018 review by UCLA Health with stats from a Centers for Disease Control and Prevention survey of 1.2 million adults, quote, physical activity is associated with a 26% decrease in the odds of becoming depressed. And people who exercise experience over 40% fewer poor mental health days per month compared to sedentary individuals, end quote. Movement also reportedly triggers deep neurological and physical shifts that protect and repair the mind. According to a 2023 review titled Role of Physical Activity on Mental Health and Wellbeing, quote, physical activity stimulates the release of mood-elevating neurotransmitters and endorphins, including dopamine, serotonin, opioids, and endocannabinoids, end quote. And according to board-certified clinical and forensic psychiatrist Dr. Tracy Marks on YouTube, exercise triggers the production of BDNF, aka brain growth factor, which acts as, quote, fertilizer for the brain, supporting the growth of new neurons and the strengthening of existing neural pathways. It also affects structural brain changes in that habitual exercise increases the volume of hippocampus, the brain's memory center, and improves connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, enabling superior emotional regulation and stress management. Lastly, giving the body relief and release is so important because psychological memories, emotions, and trauma can become trapped in parts of the body and enable prolonged stress, fatigue, and tension. I mentioned in my book about recognizing the anniversary of my suicide attempt because of a physical reminder of the psychological spiraling and the physical memories of being in the hospital. It's important to know that unresolved feelings and even passive feelings and things we think we've mentally stored away can resurface in the body at any time, even cycling back years after the inciting events. This is one of the reasons why massage therapy is so effective. I knew a licensed chiropractor who was steeped in holistic practices and believed that massages should be covered by health insurance because it can prevent so many diseases. That's right, not just healing the muscles, joints, and tissues of the body, but the targeted and rhythmic action from massage therapy can actually have a profound and compounded positive effect on the organs, blood, and cells. We hear about this kind of effect also in things like yoga or movements where we twist, extend, elongate, or ease the body and affect the organs from the outside in. We have now evolved to see that the difference between life and death, or living and living with chronic disease, can often be the result of our decisions and ability to engage in external and internal movement. Now, if you're following along with my original book, this is the day 26 quote from page 3. And based on today's topic, here is prompt number 27. Thank you all for your support of Y'all Not Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind. And without further ado, let's roll the clips and hear from the global community about the power of movement, intentional motion, and exercise on our mental health and quality of life. Peace.
to the gym. That's like, I'm telling you, the gym, don't look at the gym like losing weight. I wish a lot of people start marketing the gym on a mental health level, because it's probably one of the best things for you.
Really?
Nah, for real. When I went to the gym, because I'm very thin, skinny, whatever they call me, I wasn't going to try to shape up. I went to distract me. And then I wanted to stop smoking in the morning time. I smoked weed all day, so I'm like, all right, I can't smoke before the gym, so let me get up and go to the gym first so I don't have to smoke weed. And when I went to the gym, I didn't smoke weed 3 more hours after that because my adrenaline is still there. I'm hungry. My appetite is amazing. I'm like on a call like, yeah, so hey guys. I'm like, hey team. It's just, energy. It's like you let all that anger out in them weights. I'm
If physical activity were a pill, it would be the most prescribed medication in medicine. Let's talk about why physical activity is so powerful, because this isn't just about weight loss, aesthetics, or chasing a certain body type. Regular physical activity improves your cardiovascular and muscular fitness, your bone health, and lowers your risk of fracture. It improves anxiety, depression, and helps with overall mood regulation. It improves your sleep quality and energy levels, and it helps your self-esteem and cognitive functioning, including reducing the risk of dementia. It also plays a major role in preventing and managing chronic disease. Consistent movement lowers the risk of hypertension and type 2 diabetes and is associated with a lower incidence of multiple cancers, including breast, colon, bladder, endometrial, prostate, lung, stomach, and esophageal cancers. Now, let's zoom in on aerobic exercise specifically. Aerobic activity lowers all-cause mortality, meaning all causes of death, reduces the incidence of and death from cardiovascular disease, improves insulin sensitivity, lowers your triglycerides, improves your sleep and overall quality of life. This is why many major guidelines recommend 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity exercise or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise. But here's where people get stuck. They think it has to be intense, perfect, or all or nothing. It doesn't. Walking absolutely counts. In fact, large population studies show that 7,000 steps to 12,000 steps per day is a sweet spot where we see significant reductions in all-cause mortality, lower cardiovascular risk, and improved metabolic health. Beyond that range, the benefits tend to plateau, meaning more isn't always better, but if you want to get more steps, have at it. The goal is consistency, not extremes. And steps matter in particular because they reflect total daily movement, not just a single workout. They capture walking, errands, going up and down your stairs, pacing while you're on the phone, and everyday activity, which is critical since, as we mentioned, prolonged sedentary time independently increases your health risk. Movement isn't punishment, it's protection.
There's also a lot of science around doing hard things, how the brain actually grows and creates new neuronal pathways, and stress can be good or bad. And I think we don't talk enough about what exercise does for our mental state. And I think that people put off exercise to focus everything on their business, especially young entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that their superpower is still locked inside them.
There was something about whether mental health is led with the mind or your body. And I really think the strongest foundation for your mind is to have a fit, able body, and then you can build from there. You can't outthink mental health problems. If you're struggling with your mind and what you're thinking about, and you sit in the house on your own, the lights off or something, and you sit there and just think about it, it'll make it worse. But you go out and you go for a run, you release some endorphins, you feel great. And that's what I really think it helped me with going sober 100%. I had a half marathon to run on a Sunday morning, I couldn't go out, and I went out and I felt amazing.
And as goofy as this sounds, the gym is really the solution to roughly 95% of your problems. It's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It basically means when I stress my muscles out from weightlifting, my brain produces a protein that strengthens brain cell connection and even builds new brain cell connections. This causes you to think a lot more clearly and generate ideas you wouldn't have before. And yes, recent research shows that you can regenerate and connect new brain cells.
If you're depressed, you really have to find some type of physical outlet to channel your frustrations, your pain, your suffering into. Because if not, all that's going to happen is that anger and that sadness is going to just fester inside your body. And that's why a lot of Black women specifically, a lot of us suffer with chronic illnesses such as the lupus, the fibromyalgia, things of that nature. And I'm saying this from firsthand, what I've seen. My mother has lupus, my sister has fibromyalgia, and these things are very common in our communities because we deal with so much outward stress and we don't have outlets to put that frustration into. I I do yoga almost every day, and I have been doing that for the past 4 years on and off. Well, really since the pandemic, on and off. And I can say for myself personally, if I never did yoga, I would have been went to jail. Like, I would have been went to jail. You feel me? So it's like, you gotta find that outlet. Like, whether it's Zumba class, yoga, Pilates, calisthenics, strength training, walking in your neighborhood, doing a little jump rope, and like, you have to find something, because if not, that stagnant energy will come back to haunt you. Like, I don't know if y'all ever heard of the book The Body Keeps the Score, but look into it if you haven't, because when you have no physical outlet for your frustrations, your trauma, your sadness, etc., 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 it gotta go somewhere. It's not just gonna sit in your body. Your body will start attacking itself.
I gotta take care of myself. Nobody gonna take care of me. Oh my God, what I gotta be make stay, and I just gotta go. So through all of that grief, I was just working and trying to be the best Megan I could be. And I didn't know I needed therapy until one day I was just like, damn, I am really sad. And it's really scary how sad I am.
Yeah. I've been there.
And it was like, I didn't care what happened to me. And I didn't want to feel like that. Like, I should care about my life.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Megan Thee aka the Hot Girl Couch, and I am back in the gym. But as you can see right here, the gym is beating my ass. Even though on Hot Girl Summer Tour, we was basically doing 90 minutes of cardio every day, these weights is taking me out the game. You can see right there, I'm huffing and puffing because this goddamn gym finna blow me down. So anyways, I told my trainer, okay, we got to keep the goddamn making these going. He said, you know what? So we finna do some invisible toilet sits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know y'all see them goddamn quads popping. I said, hold on, sir. Let me go ahead and catch my breath again, because this actually really hurts. These goddamn invisible toilet sits really hurt. So anyways, I don't know why Ferris got his goddamn finger in my video. And Ferris, you ain't slick. I think I feel a hot Cheeto dust right there. So anyways, the told me all them plates of pasta that I seen you eating in Europe, that's what you finna do. You finna lift all them plates up and we finna get them abs back popping. I said, God damn, I don't wanna do this shit. So that's me taking another goddamn break, because y'all not being in the gym really it's like it push reset on your goddamn mind. So anyways, if you want to see some shit that's really unnecessary but truly necessary, move this goddamn beanbag around to the left and to the right 10 goddamn times, and left and right is one. My whole side of my...
I want to give a shout out to Gunna and Lil Jon. Gunna got a 5K that he does. Yeah, he isn't f***ing around. He got a 5K, getting into shape. I like that, Gunna. That's why, because you gonna be a healthy mom. And that's what's really important. See, hip hop doesn't have a reputation for good habits, especially health for black people, especially. Talking about smoking, drinking, blah, 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 blah. Every once in a while they talk about lifting weights, but it's never some really thorough, healthy type of shit. And this is a good example to see Gunna doing this. I love it. Lil Jon, he's getting into bodybuilding and shit. He's doing yoga, he's doing meditation. We need all this. But of course, this industry will try their best to make us not do that, because they want to see the community of black folks fucked up and sick and drugged up and negative and angry. And yeah, but this is a breakthrough. We need more of this. I've been in gyms since I was 17. I've been working out from 3 to 5 times a week since I was 17 years old after playing football. Never in my life did I not have a gym membership. But I'm going to be honest with you, not a lot of black women be in that motherfucker. Black dudes be in it too, here and there, but I'm sorry. And listen, don't get me wrong. There are black women that work out like a motherfucker. There's a lot. I follow a lot of black fitness people and stuff like that. But I be in those gyms, and we don't be in there enough. And we got the money to have gym membership. If you can have money for your hair, your nails, the BBLs and all the bullshit, you need to get a gym membership also. Remember, I'm not saying black people ain't working out. It's getting better, but it needs to be even better than that. Exercising, eating well, that used to be like corny. That shit is real talk, man. Because when you eat and whatever you put inside your body, it affects your mentality. It affects how you see things. When you take care of yourself, you'll take care of other people. I think that's a lot of the reasons why we got all this hatred amongst each other, shit like that. Because there's a lot of this shit is the poison we put in our food, and it affects your mentality. If you eat good, you do good, you feel good, you do good things, man. This is real. So Gunna, Lil Jon, this shit is fire. Keep up the good work. I hope that more people get inspired by you guys. I'm gonna give credit to some LL Cool J. He always been a dude that stayed in shape. Even 50 did for a minute, right? 50 goes in and out. We need to stress the health thing more often. The yoga, don't be afraid of yoga, all you hard motherfuckers. Yoga is good for you. Meditation is good for you. I did martial arts, all of that shit. We need to start getting into that shit. You understand? Shout out to Gunna and Lil Jon. Yeah!
Moneybagg Yo has consistently shared glimpses of his fitness journey with fans, and in his latest post, he once again showcased his remarkable progress.
I get up every day at 9 o'clock, 9:30, I'm in the gym. 11:30, I'm at the gym.
Through a series of workout videos, the rapper demonstrated the impressive strides he's taken on his fitness path. Accompanying the visuals was a reflective caption acknowledging the growth he experienced throughout the year.
I try to work out at least 3-4 times a week, you know what I'm saying? Don't want to get too rusty, want to stay motivated, stay pumped up, and so I try to stay sharp.
Expressing gratitude for the transformative journey. In the comments section, fans wasted no time expressing their admiration. The top comment highlighted Moneybagg Yo's tattoo-covered physique, with the commenter declaring it as their preferred type. This sentiment resonated with hundreds of others, creating a flood of appreciation for the rapper's dedication.
So my ultimate goal for training is just to really just get my body right, look good in my clothes, feel good, be able to have my wind up if I want to do anything, you know what I'm saying?
Amid the compliments, some fans humorously acknowledged the objectification, playfully referring to him as an IG baddie.
Are y'all doing footsies? I'm still
Well, you've heard of Rene Descartes, right? So he was right about a lot of things, but one of the things he was definitely not right about is that the mind and the body are separate. The body is secondary to the mind and it's separate, right? And that's just not the case. When you have emotional stress, your heart rate goes up. When you think about the future, your heart rate goes up, your breath rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up. When you're in physical pain because of a body injury, your thoughts get faster. You get more stressed. Stress then makes the pain worse. There's like no separation between the mind and the body. That is the single biggest misunderstanding about being human, I would say, that we get wrong, that has disseminated through all of modern Western education, that needs to be remedied immediately. The brain does not function correctly when the body is not perceiving safety. Our amygdala, the fear center of the brain, is blowing up and activating all the time anytime anything new comes around. Because the amygdala, it's not just a fear center, it's a contrast detection center.
As a licensed mental health therapist, here are just a few reasons why I've prioritized the gym and movement by any means necessary. As a therapist, I've built a career around supporting others, being with them, pouring into them. And so having movement and the gym as a part of my day on a day-to-day basis allows for me to do that for myself. Without that level of prioritization, I would come at the bottom of my list. And so prioritizing movement in the gym teaches me, reminds me, encourages me that I am just as important, if not more, than the people that I'm supporting. Because quite frankly, if I can't prioritize myself, how can I be there for other people? Another reason why I go to the gym and incorporate other forms of movement is to continue to build the mind and body muscle connection. There's a huge connection to the mind and the body. And so being in the gym is just an example of where I can exercise that. So every time I lift up a weight or I do a different move, try something new, I teach myself that there is a connection to what I'm thinking and how I'm moving. And so I allow for that connection to really build, and it helps me get better at the gym. It helps me grow. It helps me just reach certain goals, which leads into my third one. I'm someone who loves goals. And so being in the gym makes it really, really easy to set goals and work towards them. Now, I don't reach every goal at the same time frame. And being in the gym also is very humbling because you'll get that reminder often. I'm still on my pull-up journey, okay? Unassisted pull-up journey. So as someone who loves setting goals, I'm able to meet some, surpass some, continue to find ways to learn and grow to meet those goals. My favorite reason why I incorporate movement and the gym into my day-to-day is because it serves as a reminder that I'm capable of doing hard things. So I referenced in my last reason before this one that I'm still on my pull-up journey. I'm still on my assisted pull-up journey. And while I haven't reached that goal, every time I strive towards it, I realize I'm getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer. And if I didn't try, I would not get closer by any measurement. So being in the gym is a reminder that I'm capable of doing hard things, and life is really a series of doing hard things on a day-to-day. Adulthood is a series of doing hard things. And so that's why I really love movement and the gym specifically.
How connected is mental health and physical health?
They one and the same. Matter of fact, I was just talking to Ash Cash, and we was talking about that, how basically your mental health, or what you would call emotions, energy in motions, drive the principal physiology of your body. And what I mean by that is, if you're happy, your brain produces a chemical reaction called dopamine. If you mellow and you need to go to sleep or relax, your brain produces something called melatonin. If you're serious and you focus, the brain produces a chemical called serotonin. If you horny and you feel like reproducing or making love or bonding with your family or significant other, your brain produces something called oxytocin. When you're mad, your brain produces a chemical called epinephrine, norepinephrine. When you're scared and you go into a state of fight or flight, the brain and the adrenals produces a chemical called adrenaline or cortisol. So any energy in motion or emotional state that you go to, the brain have a physical chemical reaction that has a very big impact on your actual biology. So it's always mental first. And that's why I like to say mind over matter, because mind created matter. If it don't mind, it don't matter. It ain't like that we had bodies and said, oh, let's create consciousness. No, we had consciousness and we wanted to experience reality. So our consciousness created these tools or these vehicles or avatars to experience reality.
Real shit.
So it plays a major role. And it shows you that most of depression, most people that are depressed is people that don't have their spiritual system in check, or most people that are suffering from cultural identity crisis. All depression is to know that you are greater than what you are, and you can't find that connection to find out how great you are. So it leaves you empty inside, because you know it's something to you that is bigger than where you at right now. But for some damn reason, you just can't put your hand on it. That's some of the most depressing things ever.
Real
and
shit.
that's what really drives depression, Banks.
Well, you know you special.
Yeah, but you don't know why, where, how, when.
Real shit,
so we don't know when we are, we don't know why we are, we don't know where we are, we don't know who we are. And look, the most important thing that a lot of people struggle with is identity. We don't know how we are.
Damn.
If you want to release trapped emotions when you stretch, then you have to change the way you stretch. Most of the time when people are stretching, they're just aiming to go really far in a stretch. And what they end up doing is they end up tensing their body as they're coming down into a stretch. When you do that, you're not actually able to release emotions inside your body. Now, you may be increasing flexibility, but you're not able to release emotions. And this is because when you release emotions, you have to let go in your body. You have to relax. So when you're stretching, you actually have to relax into the tension. And only when you relax into the tension can you fully feel into your body deep enough. Now, by feeling into the body deep enough, those emotions, those energies that are trapped deep inside, they can come up to the surface and they can be released. This is the key thing to stretching when you're wanting to release emotions. Now, if you're wanting just to go ahead and increase mobility, then you can stretch and you can tense it and you can just go as far as you can. And that's fine. But for those of you that are interested in actually releasing trapped emotions, you have to relax while you stretch. And by doing it that way, you can also get really flexible. Okay? It's just that your flexibility increases as a side effect of releasing the emotions and not as the goal.
In middle school, I got introduced to something called wushu, otherwise known as Chinese martial arts. It's a performance Chinese martial art, really acrobatic, dynamic way of practicing. It's not just move from point A to point B, it's how do you flow from point A to point B. It's not always a straight, fast as possible line. There's movements that ask you to flow, that ask you to move your body in ways that weren't seen as masculine. It opened my mind about what a powerful physical expression could be.
I don't hate therapy. I have a therapist, but let's be honest, traditional therapy was not built for this current nervous system. Many of my friends are therapists. I work in the field of mental health, but we have to acknowledge that talking about your pain is not enough in today's world. The level of insane trauma that we are witnessing every day through our phones and through the TV, it's unlike anything that any of our ancestors have ever experienced before. The level of disconnection that we're experiencing today is unlike anything that our parents and grandparents have ever experienced. The disconnection I'm speaking about is how deeply disconnected we are from our bodies, from our feelings, how deeply disconnected we are from our lives. So many people are living out their lives out there in such a manicured, sanitized way so they can post on social media and show the world that they're okay, when deep down they're so deeply unwell. I'm not immune to any of this. This is why I'm speaking about it. So given the insanity of the life that we're living right now and how it's so unbearably painful to be human, to have a human body, we must use non-traditional methods to be able to feel well, to feel peaceful, to even feel happy. Somatic dance is a masterful tool that helps you to process what you've experienced and what you are experiencing without having to talk about it. One of my students spoke about my work being what we do on the somatic dance floor is taking out the garbage without having to go through it. Because every time you talk about the thing that hurts you, every time you retell the sad story, what do you think happens? It becomes more and more concrete. At some point in therapy, you will realize that by talking about the same old sad stories, the same old painful stories, you maybe have talked about it for 10 years. Nothing has changed. You may have gotten a little bit of perspective. You may have been able to locate yourself in your trauma, but you still feel really unwell. You still feel highly triggered. You still feel really contracted. The somatic dance floor can help you free yourself from the past without you having to retell the sad stories.
Did you know that dancing can be just as effective as medications for some forms of depression? And I'm sure a lot of dancers would agree with me, but as a dancer and a choreographer, at least in a past life, dance helped me express emotions in ways words never could. And music and movement carried me through some of the hardest seasons of my life. When you dance, you're combining aerobic exercise, music, rhythm, coordination, and often social connection. And all of that activate your dopamine pathways, increase your serotonin, boost your endorphins, and increase your BDNF, which supports neuroplasticity. And you are literally giving your brain the biological ingredient it needs to rewire. On top of that, dancing pulls you out of rumination. And that's important because depression often thrives when you're still and when you're isolated. And dancing forces movement and attention and often human connection into your life. In a BMJ meta-analysis, dancing was found to be the most effective form of exercise in treating depression compared to other things like walking, jogging, tai chi, yoga, and weightlifting. Now, this is not to say that dancers cannot have depression or that people don't need antidepressants anymore. They definitely have a role and they're essential for many people. But we should also not ignore behavioral tools that can measurably change the brain.
How could dance become a therapy session?
So I actually did this when I was doing group therapy for kids. I would use popping as emotional regulation.
Okay, explain.
When you're feeling angry, what do you want to do? Like, you want to
shout?
I guess shout.
Yeah.
You want to have those emotions. So then I would correlate that to a pop. And so I would have the kids Fresno whenever they feel frustrated, and then when they want to move from that frustration, we would wave into a different feeling.
Oh, because the wave is less energy, but it's more about controlling where it's at. Right? Is it just two emotions? Did you start to discover multiple?
Yeah. And so just adding different elements to different emotions to different moods.
What would happy be?
We could make it a walk and you're smiling in your walk or in your walkout, you know?
Oh, wow. I never tied those moves to emotions like that.
If you work hard enough, if you want it enough, and that's what the It's Mine exercise is about, is how much do I want it? It's mine! It's mine! Give it to me! It's mine! I want it! Give it to me! I deserve it! It's mine! When you put in how deeply and passionate you feel about something, it tells your body, I want it. I'm going for it. I'm ready to fight, right? We're putting it into your body physically. So before an audition, right before you close your eyes and you go, yes, mine, I got it, it's mine. Okay? It's a tool for you to use to get what you want.
Have you ever wondered why so many African dancers are Western hip-centered? It doesn't matter where you go in the continent, you're always finding some variation that incorporates Western hip movements. Well, this is one of the clearest examples to how a lot of ancient African societies are viewing things like the body, cosmology, ecology, and philosophy. So let's get into it. Before I go further, I have to clarify, this is not a generalization. Africa has multiple ethnic groups. It's not a monolith, and this is definitely not something I'm saying every single African ethnic group does, but it's a pattern that you're constantly seeing. So for example, a lot of African cultures all across the continent did not look at the body as only being a machine, but it was seen as being a cosmic structure. And if the body is a cosmic structure, it means places like the waist and the hips are the center of that cosmic structure. So dancing is not only a way for you to express your joy and for you to express your creativity, it's also an axis between heaven and earth. This type of movement also heavily mirrors how a lot of these societies were viewing their place in society and their environment in general. Life was seen as being very cyclical, very rhythmic, and not linear. And you can really see that reflected in how most of these dances have a very big emphasis on this type of movements. It's also very good to look at how music also pairs well with this, because a lot of African music is usually very polyrhythmic, meaning it doesn't have one dominant beat and it has multiple rhythms happening at the same time. There's conversations in between. It's very different. If you heard African music, you know what I mean. But it really pairs well with this type of movements because they really end up coordinating together. And it's more of a chicken egg situation where you don't know which one came first. Did the music try to adapt to the dance, or did the dance try to adapt to the music? Another subtle way that reveals how African dancers are deeply connected to African philosophies is just how grounded they are. When you look at a lot of African societies, you'll notice that things like your ancestors, the land, and spirituality are inseparable. They're very interconnected. They're seen as basically being one entity. And African dancers have a very subtle way in which they show this type of worldview. So this is more of me sprinkling in my opinion, but you notice that a lot of African dancers are about moving into the earth, not away from it. They're very grounded in their approach. Or European dancers are usually the opposite. They are more about lightness and verticality and almost like defying gravity and things like that. But African dancers are more about having low center of gravity, bending your knees, and almost moving into the earth. And I think think it's a very good mirror to how their philosophies used to go about, because they looked at the earth as something that you move into, not something that you escape. And I think it's a very good mirror to how different a lot of African and European philosophies were. Another big component is that Western hip movement is very playful, it's very sensual, it's very unapologetic, and this was something that colonizers really did not like at the time. And you'd notice that when you're going through African history, things like dances used to be banned for this very reason, because colonizers used to look at it as being sinful and sexual and something that was immoral. So there's a lot of stigma around this type of dances as being sexual. And it really shows how a lot of African philosophies viewed the body, because before colonization came, this type of dances were not seen as being sinful. The body was not seen as something that is inherently sinful. It was seen as a way of expressing yourself, as a way of connecting to your environment and the cosmos. And it's a very good indicator of the different philosophies Africans and Europeans have always had.
Almost a form of alchemy and transmutation. You can take any energy, any mood that you are in, put it into exercise, and you're actually physically like alchemizing your emotions or your state of mind. Like I can go to the gym feeling anxious, feeling worried, excited, happy, whatever emotion it is, right? I go there, I physically exert myself, I physically push myself, especially if you're pushing yourself past the point of comfortability and you are, testing your limits or whatever, and you're able to transmute that emotion into physical energy and like physically expel it from your body. It is so much deeper than just working out. And it's like, I'm just being kind of esoteric about it, but I genuinely mean it. Like you can go, and this is why a lot of people like go through like very like deep things in life, and then they go to the gym and like they exercise, and they kind of find themselves in the solitude of their mind and working out and like physically expelling energy. It's a great way to like form a mind-body connection, because you're actively moving your body. It's a great way to fall in love with yourself, because you're improving yourself. It's also great for structure and regimen. Like I go every single day. It doesn't matter what happens, rain or shine. It really helps create structure. I'm able to start my day because I had a great start by exercising. You're literally alchemizing energy anytime you hit that gym. Also, exercising releases endorphins, feel-good hormones. That's literally why whenever you leave the gym and you've like worked out, you leave and you feel better. You feel like a little more happy. You feel a little, like kind of like a little high, because you're like, wow, I did that. And then you like are proud of yourself.